Next up, I would like to call upon Vedansh Singhai. Vedansh, a grade 8 student who has shown exceptional curiosity and creativity in their academic journey. In today's TED Talk, he will be sharing a topic close to his heart, showcasing his ability to think critically and communicate effectively. Vedansh is a student and he wants to shed light on the myths of our Indian education system.
Hello everyone, my name is Vedansh Singhai and I am a student here to talk about some myths of our Indian education system. Now to understand our Indian education system, we must go way back to its origins. In the early 1800s, when the East India Company came to India, they were having a problem, communication. At that time, they did not know how to communicate with us because we have a vast culture, we have so many languages, customs, and etc. So they called a man named Thomas Babington Macaulay. They told him to go to India, figure out what's going out there, and create an education system so they could teach us Indians. But at that time, Macaulay was not happy to come to India because there were no attractions and headlines. But still, he came to India and circulated a memorandum which was called A Minute to the Indian Education. In this, he said many things and he also said some things which proved that he was biased towards us Indians. It is, I believe, no exaggeration to say that all the historical information collected from all the books written in Sanskrit language is less valuable than what may be found in the most paltry abridgments in the preparatory schools of England. People opposed it, argued, but at the end, Macaulay got his way and we had the English Education Act of 1835. This was implemented primarily so that we could bridge the gap between the Britishers and the Indians. But Macaulay also wanted education to have a purpose. He said that education should be utilitarian. Now you can say that I am just learning for the sake of learning, but that's not what Macaulay wanted. But at that time, East India Company wanted clocks. They needed people to sit at a desk, do as they are told without any questions asked. Now let's come to our first myth, mass media influence. A few months ago, when I was making this speech, I conducted a survey on the students of my school. I asked them that what do you want to become after you grow up? Some of them replied space scientist, some of them replied sportsman and other career options. But when I asked that why do you want to have this career option only, most of them replied by saying inspiration. Now here, mass media plays a big role. By the way, from mass media, I mean about your surroundings, your relatives, your parents and etc. At your home, you might have heard your parents saying you about your brothers and sisters who are getting big amount of salaries in numerous companies. After hearing this one time, it hardly might affect you. But when your parents say this repeatedly to you, it affects your career option and the career option you think you are making independently, perhaps it's not your independent career option. Now for instance, let's assume that you have supportive parents who do not compare you to your relatives. But still there is a medium which might affect your career choice, our news channels. Our news channels are only filled up with a few categories of news, politics and Bollywood. Now if you don't believe me, let me give you an example. When India won SAFF championship in football, there were hardly few mentions about this in our news channels. Now let's come to our second myth, equal respect to all these subjects. We still continue to survive in an education system where science stream topples the stream hierarchy. Students are pushed to become a machine that only goes for subjects like science, and subjects like languages, communications, arts are at times not even considered. Now to understand this more better, let's go to a father-child conversation. A father asks his child that what he wants to become. The child replies that he wants to become a novelist and he is taking arts. The father replies, are you mad? What will people think about us that you are taking arts? And hence the father decides that his son will take science and become a doctor or an engineer. Students should be pushed to take the subject they like instead of creating a differentiation between subjects. Now let's come to our third myth, importance of sports in schools. There are always sports faculty in every school, but most of them are just for showing the world that we also have a sports teacher or because of the government rules. But most of them are just not taking sports seriously. Children start taking interest in sports at a very young age when they are in school. But there are a very few good schools who are taking sports seriously. Others are just not taking it seriously. Schools need to understand the importance of sports on our physical and mental health. Now let's come to our fourth myth. Teaching students the purpose of education. We still continue to survive in an education system where students are not taught humanistic values. Students should be taught that success is much beyond money and life is also much beyond money. Success is not measured in money. If our Indian education system starts taking points onto serious consideration, we can attain the best level of education in the world. India has a long and memorable history in the field of higher education. India was known to have the home to the oldest formal universities in the world. The world's first university was established in Takshashila in 700 BC. This center of learning was an important Hindu and Buddhist center of learning. More than 10,500 students across the world came here and got educated. It is high that we as a country start taking education above the ordinary level. Thank you.